The mystery of instant love. Have you ever locked eyes with someone and felt like the world stopped spinning? That sudden rush, that spark you can't explain, that instant sense that you've just met someone special. People call it love at first sight. It's one of the most romanticized ideas in human history. From fairy tales to Hollywood movies, we've been told over and over again that true love can happen in an instant. One look, one moment, and two lives are forever changed. But here's the big question. Is love at first sight real? Or is it just a beautiful illusion created by our brains and fueled by culture? In this video, we're diving deep into the psychology and science of love at first sight. We'll uncover what's really happening in your brain and body when you feel that sudden spark, and whether it's genuine love or something else entirely. Get ready, because the truth about love at first sight is far more fascinating and far more complex than most people realize. What is love at first sight? Let's start with the basics. What do we mean when we say love at first sight? Most people describe it as an instant and powerful emotional connection felt upon first meeting someone. It's that overwhelming attraction, that sense of familiarity, that belief that you've just met the one. But here's the problem. Love itself is a complex mix of emotions, attachment, commitment, and trust. And all of those usually take time to build. So how can something as deep and layered as love happen instantly? Psychologists suggest that what people call love at first sight is actually a combination of intense physical attraction, subconscious cues, and powerful emotional projection. In other words, it feels like love, but it might actually be your brain fast-forwarding through the process and filling in the gaps with fantasy. That doesn't mean it isn't real. It just means we need to understand it more clearly. The psychology behind attraction. To understand love at first sight, we need to talk about attraction. Attraction is one of the brain's most powerful motivational systems. It can happen in seconds, sometimes even less than 1 second. Research from Rutgers University suggests that it takes only about 1/5 of a second for the brain to release the chemicals that create that feeling of being in love. That means the moment you see someone, your brain can already be flooded with dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, and serotonin. All the chemicals that make your heart race, your palms sweat, and your mind light up with excitement. From a psychological standpoint, what you feel as love at first sight is actually your brain's reward system kicking into gear. It's not random. It's biology designed to push you toward connection and reproduction. The science, chemicals, hormones, and the brain. So what's happening inside your brain and body? Let's break it down. Dopamine, the pleasure chemical. It makes you feel good, energized, and motivated to pursue the person. Norepinephrine, adrenaline. This is what makes your heart race, your hands shake, and your body feel electric. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone. It creates bonding and a sense of closeness, even with someone you just met. Serotonin, this neurotransmitter actually drops in the early stages of infatuation, which is why people can't stop thinking about their crush. Together, these chemicals create what researchers call the love cocktail. It's an intoxicating mix that makes you feel euphoric, obsessive, and deeply drawn to someone, even if you don't actually know them yet. In brain scans, people who report love at first sight show activation in areas like the ventral tegmental area, VTA, part of the brain's reward system. This is the same area that lights up with addictive substances. In other words, love at first sight is literally addictive. Is it really love or just infatuation? Now here's where it gets tricky. Is what people feel in that moment really love, or just infatuation dressed up as love? Most psychologists argue that what we call love at first sight is actually instant infatuation. It's a powerful attraction mixed with emotional fantasy. You don't actually know the person yet, but your brain fills in the missing details with idealized qualities. This is why people in love at first sight often say things like, "I felt like I already knew them," or "it was like destiny." What they're really describing is a projection of their own desires, hopes, and unconscious preferences onto a stranger. True love, psychologists agree, requires time, trust, and shared experiences. Love at first sight can be the spark, but it's not the fire. The fire only grows if that spark is nurtured over time. The role of evolution and biology. From an evolutionary standpoint, love at first sight makes sense. Humans are wired to make fast judgments about potential partners. In prehistoric times, quick attraction could mean survival. Choosing mates with healthy genes, good protection, or strong reproductive potential. This is why physical cues like facial symmetry, body posture, and even scent play such a huge role in attraction. Within seconds, our brains are assessing genetic fitness, health, and compatibility. In fact, research suggests that men are more likely than women to report love at first sight. One theory is that men are more visually oriented when it comes to attraction, while women are more likely to consider long-term security and compatibility. So biologically, love at first sight may not be a myth. It might just be our ancient survival instincts showing up in modern times. Cultural and media influence on love at first sight. But biology isn't the whole story. Culture plays a huge role. Movies, novels, and songs romanticize the idea of instant love. From Romeo and Juliet to modern rom-coms, we're constantly told that true love happens in a single glance. This cultural conditioning shapes how we interpret strong attraction. When you feel that rush, culture gives you the language to call it love at first sight. Without those stories, you might just call it a strong attraction. Psychologists call this the cultural script of love. We've been trained to see certain feelings as romantic destiny when they might actually just be biology and projection. Real-life stories versus research. Here's where it gets interesting. Many couples do report falling in love at first sight, and some of them go on to have long, happy marriages. So is it all in their heads? Not necessarily. What might be happening is that the initial spark was real attraction, and over time, it developed into true love through shared experiences, trust, and bonding. Studies show that people who believe in love at first sight are more likely to experience it. In other words, expectation shapes perception. If you're open to the idea, you're more likely to interpret strong attraction as instant love. Psychology of why it feels so strong. So why does love at first sight feel so intense? 1. Projection. You project your desires onto a stranger, making them feel like the perfect fit. Familiarity effect. Sometimes someone resembles a past crush or a comforting figure, and your brain mistakes that for destiny. 3. Novelty and surprise. The suddenness of the emotion makes it feel magical and rare. 4. Emotional memory. Strong first impressions are stored more vividly, making the moment unforgettable. All of this combines to create a feeling that's powerful, overwhelming, and sometimes life-changing. The truth. Myth, reality, or both. So is love at first sight real? The answer is yes and no. Yes, the feelings are real. The rush of attraction, the brain chemicals, the powerful emotional pull, all of that is genuine. But no, it's not the same as love in its full sense. It's more accurate to call it attraction at first sight, the spark that can lead to love, but only if nurtured. Love at first sight is like striking a match. The flame is real, but if you want it to become a lasting fire, you need to feed it with time, trust, and shared experiences. The science and romance of instant love, love at first sight, is one of humanity's most enduring myths and one of its most fascinating realities. Psychologically, it's a mix of biology, chemistry, and culture. It's not full love, but it is a doorway that can lead to love. So the next time you feel that instant spark, remember, your brain is doing its job. It's scanning for attraction, igniting your reward system, and flooding you with feel-good chemicals. It may not be true love yet, but it just might be the beginning of something real. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychology of love at first sight, hit the like button, subscribe for more insights into love and human behavior, and share this with someone who still believes in instant love. And let me know in the comments, do you believe in love at first sight? Or is it just attraction wearing a romantic mask?